It's working. A little bit of perseverance.
And experience. You have experience doing this. I'd be panicking, so I have to applaud your Zen.
Oh no, my philosophy is it is what it is, and it'll be what it'll be. So
I love it.
everything's
I love
perfect.
You're right.
I'm no longer do I get stressed over anything. It was funny because one of the speakers actually pulled out at the last minute, and I was like, oh, okay, well, Spirit, what do you want me to do? And then another speaker emailed me and went, have you got a slot free? And I was like, yep.
That's magical.
Absolutely. And that's basically how my life works.
Yeah.
So I've let go of being stressed about anything that doesn't seem to be going to plan.
Love it.
Okay, right. I'm going to do the introduction and then we can get started. A few more people might join us because we're just a couple of minutes before the start time, but you never know what people are doing on days. And I know it's 10 o'clock in the morning PST and 1 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern time. So people
and they might catch the replay as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, let's do the introduction and remember to press record. Okay, so hello and welcome to season 10 of the Mundane to Magical online summit series. My name is Louise Matson, and as always, I'm truly blessed to be your host. I hope you've been enjoying the summit so far this season. I know I have, even with my cold. And today is no exception. I am really excited to introduce a brand new speaker to the show. And for today, I am joined by the wonderful Jeanne Sullivan Billeci. Jeanne is the author of Be the Soulmate You Want to Attract and creator of Dating is Such a Drag podcast, and has entertained and inspired millions in her interviews with her extraordinary midlife love story, where she turned her marketing and law of attraction skills on herself to call in her husband overnight. How wonderful is that? As a certified life coach, Jeanne helps single people, step into their sovereignty to live their happiest, most purposeful lives so they can attract a partner who supports and elevates them on their own journeys. Jeanne's topic for this show today is how I manifested my soulmate overnight, 6 keys to calling in your partner faster. Now, there's been much talk over the years around soulmates. What are they? Is there a soulmate out there for each and every one of us? And also with all the shifts and changes that have occurred in relationships over the recent years, as more and more people have begun to really stand firmly in their truth, which has led to many long-term relationships breaking down, including my own. What better time to learn how to attract a life partner that vibrates at the same or similar frequency as you, to dance with you across the many vibrational transformations yet to come. As always, this is an interactive call, so please feel free to ask questions throughout and using the chat and Q&A sections on Zoom. Unfortunately, if you are watching on YouTube through the live stream, I cannot check the live stream comments, so the chat and Q&A is only open to those on Zoom. But I will endeavour to weave as many of the questions that I see into the conversation as we go. So let's get started. It's with a great pleasure and an absolute honour that I welcome you to the summit, Jeanne.
Thank you so much, Louise. I just love being with someone I can just speak the same language, just talking in the vibrations. That's just so great. Sometimes people give me a look like a higher vibrational soulmate. What? So it's great.
And I'm looking forward to picking up some tips, actually, because I'm ready to invite my own like vibration soulmate.
I got you.
So just because you are brand new to the summit, I just thought it'd be nice for you to just introduce yourself a little bit briefly, and in particular, the work that you do in helping people and how you managed to manifest your perfect soulmate in overnight. I mean, that's incredible.
It really is incredible. And I have to share. And when I share the challenges I was facing, it's even more extraordinary. And I really want to inspire your audience that some of the things that they think are in the way are actually not in the way. So before we get into that, I'm Jeanne Sullivan Billeci. You pronounced my name perfectly, by the way. That's pretty magical. I am the soulmate coach. I'm primarily a dating coach, but I'm also a relationship coach. I work with single people or people who are early in relationships to help them show up as a higher vibrational version of themselves so that they can attract that higher vibrational partner. That's why I wrote the book, Be the Soulmate You Want to Attract, Step into Your Sovereignty to Magnetize a Higher Love. And what tends to happen is I tend to work with people who are empaths, also achievers, who are both maybe feel like they've manifested this great life in their career, their circle of friends, their spirituality, but for some reason in their love life, they are not showing up with the same vibration, the same strength. And as a result, they are unconsciously pushing potential partners away with not feeling enough, trying too hard, people pleasing, taking care of the other person and neglecting themselves. And the unfortunate reality is that actually demotivates even people who want to be a partner. That overwhelms them. And so I have to teach these wonderful, beautiful souls how to receive. And that's really in a nutshell what I do.
Absolutely. I mean, it is fundamentally one of the things that we are not good at, and particularly empaths. I work a lot with people who have the distortion of the service soul, which means I'm here to make sure everybody else is okay and it doesn't matter about me. And I'll hold my hand up. I've been one of those people a lot in my life too. So this is just a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for people like myself and like many people out there in the light working community to really get a handle on that it's okay to look after yourself. And actually, if you want to find somebody of that like vibration, that actually it's an essential part of it. So what are the key things? What are the key things for people to either let go of or invite in to be able to match the frequency and vibration of those people that are out there?
Good question. And I think it's important for the empaths in the audience to understand that it's exactly what you were talking about, that over servicing that we somehow learned early in life was going to get us what we want. And it's the same even with people who are achievers. They feel like this sense of having to earn love, affection. And underneath that is just the fear of not being enough, really at the heart of it. So what I do is help people to take a look back. And often because they're empaths, they're attracting people when they're in their lower vibrational energy as an empath, they're attracting narcissists, commitment phobes, just people who maybe just want to be in a situationship and don't want to be in a relationship, don't want to be your partner. And I help them to really understand the dynamic of what is going on. And then we take a look, okay, let's just look at number one. Step one of my 6 steps is taking a look at forgiveness. Now, most empaths find it very easy to forgive other people, but they're not so good at forgiving themselves, or they haven't even thought of it. And that's a big piece of what I do, is helping to free them of this overdeveloped sense of responsibility that helps them carry around a lot of guilt and shame, because nobody is perfect, but they always have this perfectionism going on. So we do a lot of work on forgiving of the self. I had a client once that was the last bit of resistance that she had. And she manifested her partner 5 days later. I mean, sometimes you don't even need all 6 steps. And then in the second step, we we take a look at what your limiting beliefs are. And we'll definitely get into that with my story because I was really stuck in a lot of limiting beliefs. And it's the limiting beliefs that keep us stuck in having a very limited view of what is possible for us. It's very much a lack mindset that I help people with. And it shows up as their own version of commitment phobia, not feeling like they're enough, or they may feel like the good ones are all taken and there's nobody who can show up in their power beside me. It's all different expressions of the same issue. So we teach them how to really choose better feeling thoughts so that your vibration rises, because in law of attraction, your vibration is directly related to your emotion. So we're always looking to challenge the limiting belief, look for evidence it's not true, and then choose more affirming, constructive beliefs that give us relief and make us feel better and raise our vibration. Then in the step 3, I talk about being the heroine or hero of your story, or the leading lady, leading man. Forgive me, I don't mean to place a gender on someone, because this works for everyone, but just not being the leader or sovereign of your life. And a lot of people are waiting for their soulmate so to fully live their lives. And I encourage them, your vibration will be even higher, and you are more likely to attract a more aligned soulmate. And I think you have many out there, to really step into what your most happy and purposeful life is. And most of the clients who come to me are not being unapologetically authentic. They're hiding parts of themselves that they think will get them rejection, but actually it will. But it's important to not worry about those people and what they're thinking, and to really just worry about the one person you need to attract. And once you let go of all of that, worrying about the rest, and just really focusing on, the more I can really just put it all out there, the more I can attract the right person. And then in the step 4, we talk about learning how to trust yourself. What's the difference between your anxious and your intuitive voice? We do a lot of that. And then trusting yourself enough to have healthy boundaries, to pay attention to the red flags when you see a narcissist on a first date, and to honor that and not make excuses and move on. And then in the 5th step, we do like branding. How do we put a profile out there that's so wildly you and so authentic and unique that it just gets the attention of the right people and scares away the wrong ones? And then in the 6th step, we just talk about how to pursue the right chemistry. We're trained to pursue a chemistry that's really much more about physical excitement, that lasts about 18 months. When the partnership energy, and the Buddhists believe, as I do in my own experience, that when you feel really relaxed with someone, more of a friendship energy, where you feel like you can completely let go and be yourself and you'll be fully accepted. We're taught that that's settling or boring, but it actually is the more of the energy that leads to partnership. And, people think, oh, I'm going to give up having great sex if I don't have that zazazu in the beginning. But when you can just really let go and be 100% yourself and not worry about what you look like when you're naked, it's really good. So I know that was a lot, but I just wanted to put all that out there so that anything that really called to you about that, we could really dive into.
I think one of the key things is a lot of people have that kind of thing. I've got to see it to believe it. I've got to see it happening before I believe it can happen. Whereas it's kind of like, yes, I've got to take action, but I've actually just got to be me. Again, it's not that we're projecting out there. We're doing the work in here to then shift what the external reality kind of then has on the buffet table to offer us, as it were. And so we have to believe it and make and be okay about ourselves, to be ourselves, to then kind of, as it were, turn that table on the buffet table and then have that in front of us that we're actually looking for. to kind of come and because it's not like, a lot of people are scared of taking action. I know that in a lot of the work that I do, that they're scared of, and I've done it myself. I'll hold my hand up. Everything that I assist other people with, I've gone through myself. So it's that, you get that intuitive nudge, and yet you're scared to take the leap and you take action in alignment with that. But we kind of have to do that in order to enable the universe to provide us with what we're looking for and what we're saying we want.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And mastering law of attraction is really all about feeling your way to what you want, letting go of the how and the when, and believing you already have it. In order to really get to that feeling of believing you already have it, which is also known as the receptive mode, which is foreign to most empaths, you have to be living and feeling the fullness of life. And most of the time when people come to me, I can look at their whole field and I can see who they really are, the totality. I can see it, I can feel it. But they're usually very, very suppressed, either through depression, or people have told them they're way too much and they're feeling like, I have to dial it back. I was told my whole life I was too much. I am, but that's all right. It makes me happy, makes my husband happy. So it's fine. But we often dim ourselves, especially empaths, because we have this overdeveloped sense of responsibility. Like we have to fix it for others. We have to carry it for others, even at our own inconvenience. And I had somebody walk up to me at a show in London, who said, oh my God, I never realized how much of an empath I was. She goes, I went out on a date the other night with someone I had zero interest in, but I felt sorry for him. And for some reason, I found myself asking him out for a drink after dinner. And I didn't even want to go. And I said, that's what an empath does. They neglect their own need. And so when the empath starts to really nurture and take care of his or herself or themselves, it is just really amazing when they just start to really flourish and really pay attention to, are you really living fully? Are you, do you say, I used to be fun, I used to be flirty, I used to be adventurous? If you're saying that, make it like, I am adventurous, I am flirty. Invest more time in being who you really are and expressing yourself and your creativity. Are you, kind of hiding parts of yourself to please others? I would encourage you to stop that. I have a client who was telling me she's in her 70s and she's a lesbian and she's not outed to any of her friends. And it's costing her so much to not be able to be valued and celebrated for who she is. So these are the things that, if you can start the journey of really loving and accepting yourself, it is amazing. You become your own best friend. And then the process of finding a partner is really just the icing on an already delicious, decadent piece of cake. And it takes the stress. Whenever we feel tension about dating, tension about, I have to make this happen, to your point, that means we're focusing on the lack of what we want, and we're having tension and anxiety, which is that's the wrong vibration. It's the wrong direction. You want to feel, you know what, I have a really full life. It would be so great to have someone. I know that person's coming. I know that person's almost here. And live with that joy and just savor those emotions of feeling it as it's already here. And it will come so much faster.
And one of the things that I noticed, and actually it's true for other areas in life as well, when I was not focused in any way, shape or form on finding anybody, and I was just focused on going and doing something that I loved because I loved doing it. And one of the things was I love dancing. And so I went to a jive class, and I didn't go to a jive class to meet anyone. I went to a jive class because I love dancing, and I was having such a good time that I actually met somebody.
That is so awesome. I love that. And that's the thing, right? I remember doing really dumb things like to try to meet somebody in my 30s. I took a golf lesson thinking, oh, I will meet like professional men. And I was like, years later, I was like, that was so dumb. Like, what am I going to do when I meet somebody who's into golf? I'm going to try pretend and be completely drained, trying to pretend that I like. So that's just it's so delicious and affirming that you took that class and then you met someone. I just think that's just exactly what you're supposed to do. You were totally relishing in the deliciousness of life, and it makes you so magnetic.
We've got a question in the Q&A.
Okay.
Chelsea's put, Jeanne, please help. I'm 26 years old and I live in LA, but I feel called to move to London. And at the same time, I'm ready to call in my soulmate, but I feel a bit discouraged in my current dating life as I'm in a bit of limbo since the transitioning to get ready to move. I would love if I could get some clarity if I'm on the right path or frequency for calling in my soulmate, and if possible, why London is calling me.
I can only take a guess because I haven't spoken with you, but I can tell you I have little goosebumpies because ever since I was a little girl, I always was so I grew up in New York City, New York State. And every day from the time when I was about 13 years old, I would stare out the window towards the west and I would say, I need to be in San Francisco. I need to be in San Francisco. And I didn't know why. And I actually didn't get around to moving there until I was 40, but I never lost that feeling like I should be there. I moved to San Francisco with another man, and that didn't work out. And I actually took a couple of years off. And then that's what really led me to my husband. My husband was born and raised in San Francisco. So I personally, maybe I'm biased, but I feel if your soul is calling you to London, and there are actually astrological things that you can do in a chart to see what places have a little bit more a friendly energy for meeting a life partner. But my guess is you're drawn to that place because it's going to lead you to your partner, whether it's making you happier because you're going to have a fuller life there, or if that's just where your partner lives.
I think going back to what we've just spoken about, though, it's letting the focus of, I want this move to mean that I meet my soul partner out of your mind, and just enjoy the fact that you're going to go to London. It's somewhere that you're being really drawn to going to. Make the most of your time in London, absolutely have a ball. And in that process, the likelihood is
true
we'll bump into.
I think you're absolutely right. And I'm glad you said that, because that was a key part of when I moved. I was with somebody else. I wasn't thinking about that, but I still had this knowing in my soul I needed to be in San Francisco. And even when the person I was dating at the time said he would rather go to New York, I said, well, that's your truth. And but I'm not going to New York. I'm going to San Francisco. But you're right. I think it's really about first putting the focus on living the fullness of your life and letting go of whether your soulmate will be there or not. I was led to go to Scotland at one point. I felt a very strong drive. There was a lot of signs leading me there, and it had never been on my radar. And I remember asking a psychic, hey, is that where I'm going to meet my soulmate? And she said, no, you will meet your soulmate in 18 months. She was right, though, by the way. But she said, in previous lifetime, now, it's possible this is true. She said, in previous lifetimes, some of your happiest relationships were in Scotland. So going to Scotland is going to raise your vibration, and that is going to call in your husband. Coincidence? I don't think so.
And I mean, my knowing is that there are no accidents, there are no mistakes, and we don't always know the reason why we're guided to do something, and it's allowing yourself to get out of your own way, stop the monkey mind from having to analyze everything to the nth degree, and actually just throw yourself in with your heart and just do it. And you'll find out what the reason was that you were called to. And it may be that you were, then in the right place to meet somebody, or it may be something completely different. But either way, you're following that pull of your heart. You're following that pull, your calling. And that's basically how I consciously try to live my life now. And okay, I haven't met my perfect soul partner yet, but it could be just around the corner, whatever I'm then called to next do. But it's not in my mind that, that's what this purpose has to be. But yeah.
Yes, because that's constricting, isn't it? When you're feeling like, as soon as when someone tells me, and I know this isn't the person who asked the question, I'm just not talking about her, but I'm just saying in general, when I hear that, I had people coming up to me at the show with, things like, well, what do you think about manifesting a specific person? There's somebody I really want to. And I said, people have free will. I said, the only thing I can advise you is to live the fullness of life, be the best version of yourself, and then check in with your intuition and see if you're even still attracted to that person. And it's always best to be a higher vibration version of yourself anyway, and you'll be more likely to attract the other person. But I said, you can't, I would have recommend that you focus on the things you really like about that person and give the universe room to bring it to you in other ways. And the reason I'm saying that in relation to the hyper focus, that it has to be that my soulmate is going to be here or there, is what I would love for your audience to realize is, as soon as you start to feel that energy, that tension of it has to happen, and it starts to be a hyper focus, just very gently remind yourself that you really just need to focus on what you want and let go of the how and the when.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's actually very relevant to what Agnieszka's put. They were told to think how they wanted to be treated by the future husband. And she never thought that it would be important. She knew how she would treat the husband, but didn't know how she wanted to actually be treated. And that kind of came up yesterday in the importance of connecting with our hearts, because I was saying, when a lot of people are on this journey, and I myself have been in that position, I had no idea what joy looked like for me. I had no idea what love looked like for me. And that kind of has that vibe, that comment by Agnieszka. It's like we're never taught to even ask ourselves, what do I want out of a relationship?
It's so true. And I can see sometimes, I'm sure you feel the same way when you're looking at someone across from you. You can see that joyful spirit trying to break free. And it's just really amazing. And so what I suggest too, I love this question, but I love both questions, but I love this one because one thing that I help empaths, and I encourage them to start, anybody actually, it doesn't have to be just an empath, but especially empaths, before you're even wondering about your soulmates, start thinking about the people already around you, and think about, where am I leaking energy? Where am I draining energy on people who really don't invest anything in me? And maybe, ask yourself, why am I investing? Be gentle with yourself and maybe make a list today. What are the rules of being my friend? What are the 5 top rules, non-negotiable? Really think about that, of being my friend, who really be deserving of my heart energy, my time, all that delicious love and affection that an empath gives. Who, what kind of person, how should they So it's another way of saying, how should your friends, everybody in your life, treat you? Start working on that. And, your soulmate is going to be another one of your friends.
Mm.
But if you could start living from that place of knowing you deserve to be treated that way by everyone, it's a great start.
Absolutely. Maria's put, hi Jeanne, I have a karmic relationship stroke marriage behind me with a narcissist and secretly gay man that lasted 30 years. Now I've been single for over 7 years, doing inner work 24/7, and I've still not met my soulmate. What is still missing?
I can take some guesses. And if anybody just feels like they want to talk more, we'll have more information later. I'll do my best, not knowing enough information, but based on my experience with empaths and narcissists, it would be interesting to know if she could comment, are you just not attracting anyone, or are you continuing to attract narcissists? That would be interesting to know. But let's assume that you're just not attracting the right people still. I think it's usually some sort of hyper focus on the fact that it hasn't happened yet. So in law of attraction, without realizing it, most of us are not manifesting what we want because we're still focused on what we're afraid could still happen again, or we haven't forgiven ourselves. And that's a big one that may be irrelevant here. Is a lot of times empaths are so cruel with how they think about themselves. Oh, how could you let that happen? How could I let my boundaries be tramped on like that? Things they wouldn't even say to a person they don't like. They could say it to themselves. So it could be that some self-compassion is needed. And then it could just be that maybe you need to pay more attention to asking yourself questions like, am I really living and experiencing the fullness of life? Am I expressing my gifts in the world? Am I living my purpose in some way? Because the more that you are living on purpose and finding your joy every day without a soulmate, it's really incredible how much that accelerates that person coming in. So those are just some guesses. What do you think, Louise?
Well, she's actually put back, she's attracting nobody.
Okay.
One of the things that is coming through, and this is just purely on me, I'm taking me in as an example of this, having been, and I was in an abusive relationship for far too long, but then not far too long, because it was perfect timing for me to do my own self-development to work my way through it. But you kind of come out of relationships, and even though, and I've been doing the inner work pretty much my whole life, I tend to get in a pattern of being, and I'm so focused on my work, on serving other people in this arena, that I don't put myself in a situation where I can meet people, and that's because I'm quite happy with what's going on. And so I mean, I'm just in the mindset now of actually, I could be ready to kind of open up my heart, open up my house to somebody again. But I know for me, I walk the dogs, I work. I do watercolors, but that's by me in the house. And so I know I need to kind of, in a way, get out there. So for me, it's about, okay, what am I actually doing that's going to put me in the path of, to give the universe a chance. We've got to give the universe a chance. My perfect soulmate isn't going to be the mail delivery man. Probably.
It would be in a rom-com, but not in real life.
Yeah, exactly. So I know that I've got to give the universe a chance, but still being true to me, not because I'm trying to find somebody, but because it's part of something that I love to do. And so the universe for me is guiding me to get a mobile home so that I can just go traveling. And that's kind of enabling me to do my watercolors, do my work, do my dogs, but in an arena where I can actually meet other people and not in the unit that I'm, living in.
I love that, because I think some of the empaths who come to me and say, I'm not visible. So first, I want to celebrate that that's an improvement. I think it's important to acknowledge that to yourself and not think it's a failure, because you must have done enough work that you're not attracting the narcissist anymore. So that's a good thing. Sometimes the reason we don't manifest what we want, in addition to what I said before, sometimes we're, without realizing it, we're a little bit ambivalent about having that relationship, because there's a little part of us that still believes, doesn't believe 100% you can have somebody in your space, in your life, who's going to elevate and support you. So that's another thing. Also, sometimes it's something as simple as looking at if you're dating online, looking at your dating profile. A really important tip I would give for people who are dating online is to look at your profile. And if it's a list of adjectives, pretty, funny, smart, it looks like everyone else's profile. I'll tell you what attracted my husband overnight. And it was because before I get to that, let me just finish answering her question. I think with dating profiles, a lot of times we haven't written them with the clarity that we need to really screen out the wrong people and attract the right people. So, if you have a bunch of adjectives, instead of using the adjectives, try to paint a picture of what are your values, what are your deal breakers, what are your unique interests, what's quirky and interesting about you, and don't get wrapped up in it having to be a big lofty thing. And don't worry so much about what some people are going to judge you about. If you feel like for me, I really love drag queens. I just think they're so fun and they're about living out loud. And up until I had been, looking for someone online and I was not attracting the right people, I realized that my profile was a little bit like a vanilla version of me, because I'd written it with a lack mindset, saying, I projected this easy breezy quality. I had been through many commitment phobic relationships, and it was a great mirror for me, because I had always gotten the short end of the stick in relationships. So I still deep down believe that's what I would always manifest. So I was always afraid of commitment. And so I was attracting what I thought. When I took 2 years off of dating and I really, started to feel beautiful in my body, I took belly dancing because I was 23 stone, which I didn't mention earlier. I was quite Rubenesque. And a lot of people would tell me, you're being too picky. And it's because I was fluffy, they were thinking, and I was older and I had a very intimidating personality. So, so I was told over and over, you have to dial it down. You have to, try, guys, don't be so picky. And so I wrote a profile that was very safe, and all I was attracting were 25-year-old men. And I was really good at attracting them because I wrote a really interesting profile, but they were just seeing someone who was easy breezy, didn't want to marry them, didn't want to, make them have babies, somebody who was experienced, that's really what they were looking for. And so I realized I'm not attracting the right person. So what do I need to do? And I realized from my marketing experience that my branding was way off. So I decided to get brave, and I started to really paint a picture what my values were, what my interests are, such as drag. And I knew there were going to be a lot of men who were completely turned off by that. And it finally hit me, like, but that's what I want. I want them to not waste my time. my heart energy on dates. So why am I so afraid of scaring them off? And it was that very attitude when I put, for example, when I say don't use the adjective. So if you want to say that you're funny, just, what does that look like? What does that feel like? Because there were different variations of funny. You could say, my friends call me the female Jim Carrey. That's a very clear picture of what you would be like, right? Or I'm looking for, somebody who's a mix between Jim Carrey and Graham Norton, whatever, the love child. It's an interesting way to put something, but it also is very clear about maybe your politics, maybe your sense of humor. And you do that for a few different qualities that are important to convey about yourself. And then you put pictures that match that. You would be shocked how quickly you change who you attract. So when I put that new profile out there that was unapologetically authentic, I even put my deal breakers in there. I put, I want to get married. I stopped worrying about looking like a gold digger or looking needy. Mm-hmm. Literally overnight, my husband winked at me and 3 other men, all my age, all wanting the same things, all dying to take me to a drag show. And I want to add, none of them were what we would call, chubby chasers. They weren't looking for someone of my size, but they were so enamored with the profile. They all commented on it, that they read it over and over again, and they were amazed by it and how it really spoke to them. And so I say that because a lot of people are saying to themselves, oh, I'm not getting good attention on the apps because they only want a skinny young thing, or I'm too fat, I'm too old, I'm too much. But it would being honest and raw and brave, that's what attracted people who were much more my vibe. So I hope that made sense.
Yeah, and I think it's a big thing to do with how you feel about yourself as well. I think that's the biggest thing, really, and that's in a way the biggest step, and that's coming back to that loving yourself, looking after yourself, allowing yourself to be unauthentically you. And that's where it starts. If you're not allowing yourself to be unauthentically you, and you're not loving your wobbly bits, or if you can't look in the mirror and say you're fantastic, then that energy is going to be radiating through whether you're in a supermarket queue and you're not on online dating things, or whether you are putting your profile out there, because you're putting in all of your own hang-ups onto this thing. When I went dancing, like I say, I had no intention of meeting anybody. That's not what it was about. I love dancing and I wanted to dance and I wanted to learn something new. And so I was learning jive and salsa and tango, and I was having a whale of a time. I didn't care that I was more overweight than I'd been in a number of years, or it didn't enter my mind. And therefore it didn't enter the people's minds who I was with, because it was all about connecting with people and dancing and enjoying life and just loving the music. But I know if I'd have written a profile and if I'd have been trying to find somebody, then all of those hang-ups that I would have had about myself would have just plastered themselves all over that page.
Oh, I love that story so much. I just love that, because you could just feel your joy and deliciousness in that moment. And that's how I felt with belly dancing, because I saw a lot of the famous dancers in Middle Eastern dance culture were fluffy, they were Rubenesque, and they were revered. And it was just mind blowing to me, having grown up being shamed for my weight my entire life, and even from an ex-boyfriend to be shamed. And to see that blew my mind. And the thing that was so funny is I just was there to feel good and strong. And I wanted to express my divine feminine. I just really was feeling that. And I was so happy when I went to class. And the interesting thing is when I first started dating my husband and he found out I was belly dancing, he said, "You're not going to believe this," because he goes, "But one of my things on my list originally is that I really wish I could meet someone who just loved to dance." And his secret fantasy was to have someone who knew how to belly dance. It was very, I don't know, just very law of attraction about that. But I wanted to say something because I have this feeling there's someone in the audience who maybe has rewritten a profile and they've done this work and they notice an improvement in the quality of the people coming in, but then maybe still not the right fit. I just want to say, if somebody here is experiencing that, this is when we do something in law of attraction called celebrating the closeness of the match. Instead of using it as an opportunity to go, "Oh God, I got all excited about it and it's the same result again. I'm just give up. I give up. I give up," which is what a lot of people do. It's important to recognize that there has been an improvement. And that means you are on the right track. It's just that you needed that contrast of, yeah, that was better, but there was still something not quite right. And to refocus on what you do actually want. What did you learn from that? But it's actually a time to get excited, not to give up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that is coming through is that Spirit's always saying that, awareness is the omega and the alpha and the omega. It's the beginning and the end. Without awareness of something, you can't make any changes. But it's also allowing yourself to rejoice in those moments of awareness that might make you at other times kind of get downhearted about something. It's like, we can do that, we can go there, and quite often we have done. But if we actually go, actually, with this awareness of this thing, it means that I can make a change, I can make a tweak, I can mix it up a bit, I can do something out of the normal pattern that I'm used to doing, rather and rejoice in the fact that this is an opportunity to make that change. And kind of rewrite your list. It's kind of really be radically honest with yourself. And that's one of the key things on this journey to standing in the sovereignty, is to be radically honest with yourself. If you can't be radically honest with yourself, you can't be radically honest with anybody else. You've got to really, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want to attract? Who do I want to attract? What qualities do they have? That it's like, okay, well, what am I? Who am I? And what qualities do I have?
Exactly. And if people listening get nothing else, look at my story. Look at all the things that society said were strikes against me. I was old, I was heavy, I was intimidating, supposedly, but I didn't listen to them. And I really believed in my heart, finally, that I could ask the universe for more, that I wasn't being too picky, that I could ask the universe for more. So everyone listening here, I am living proof you can ask the universe for more. Dear empaths, ask for more. You deserve it and you can have it. You absolutely can. You really can. You just have to start changing your mind about what's possible for you. And continue working on your vibration and letting go of the how and the when.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, in my life, throughout various relationships, I've put up, I've settled, I've put up with, just for fear of never actually really feeling love. And I think that's come from childhood and desperately wanting to be loved by my parents, and for whatever reason just not receiving it, not understanding what it was that I was doing wrong. So it wasn't like I could fix this thing. But we settle for something. We settle for an opinion about ourselves. We settle for what we think the universe has to offer us, or what's available out there, or we settle in a relationship that's okay, but it's really not firing you up. And it's because we think, oh, well, at least I have this. And if I didn't have this, then I would have nothing, and there wouldn't be what I wanted out there. But there is, and it comes back to that, believing it and you'll see it. Because it's, the universe is dying to give us what we want. It really is.
It's so true. It's so true. And it's amazing how much we talk ourselves out of what we want. And I think that's part of our jobs, right? We're helping remind people how much magic there still is in the world and how powerful each person here really is. And to stop listening to the outside world for validation of who you are and for proof that you're lovable. Just remember how magnificent you are. That's the key.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I love, and I can't remember if it was, it was one of the things that you put as your bullet points, why flying your freak flag is your secret sauce. I absolutely love that. Because we are unique. We are, yes, we're all part of the all that is. Yes, we're all connected. But we are individuated divine sparks of the all that is. And it's that individuated aspect of us that is our freak flag, that we need to embrace and recognize. Well, first of all, recognize and then embrace. And then just let it fly, let other people see it, because that's what stands you apart from all of the Stepford wives.
Yes. Yes. And the people out there who are just boring, who are just so, they're so conformist that they're alienated from themselves and they're not living the fullness of life. And it's so important. I mean, it is absolutely true that overnight shift of me really leaning into what was fabulous about me and my just knowing I deserved it and it would eventually come. I just needed to just let go already. The universe didn't make me wait long once I got out of my way. And it's the same for every single person here. There's going to be a point, if you keep working at it, and you keep releasing resistance and keep clarifying and tapping into what you deserve, owning your boundaries, talking yourself into what you want. And it will come to you. You just have to get out of your own way.
Absolutely. I think one of the takeaway things for people who are listening to this or connecting into this is to, and I know this is really difficult for people, because if I asked you to write 10 things that you didn't like about yourself, you'd be like, easy peasy, I can reel those off quickly. But, go through and write 10 things that you love about yourself, 10 things that stand you apart from everybody else, that's uniquely yours. And it may be, I've got 2 webbed feet. 2 of my toes are webbed, they're connected, and I love them. They're like one of my favorite things about me. It's like, that's my mermaid essence coming through. Yeah. But, it's just, right, and reframing those things that you may have disliked about yourself. So when I'm a bit overweight and I've got a bit of extra padding, I think, well, at least I'm more comfy to snuggle up with.
It's true. And the reason I love drag queens so much is a lot of people think, oh, well, they're just putting on a mask. Actually, every drag queen will tell you that the alter ego that they are displaying is really not an alter ego. It's actually who they really are inside, fully unleashed, unapologetically. And I find that very inspiring. And it doesn't mean you have to go and do drag. It's just a point of really understanding that the shaming yourself and hiding so that others can be more comfortable, which is what empaths tend to do, is just inhibiting you from fully showing up in your power so you can serve the world. Because most of the empaths are healers in some way. And by dimming your light so much, by pretending to be less than you are, so others can be more comfortable, others can be served, you're actually taking energy away from you really shining brighter and really showing up in full service to the people who are meant to really receive your gifts in the world and celebrate and elevate you. So I just hope that they take a lesson from you, and how you really celebrate your web feed, or how I celebrate it. I love drag. I love like really sparkly stuff. I'm over, I'm in my 50s now, and I do get looks still, but I don't really care. This stuff makes me happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm in my 50s too. It's like maybe there comes a time in our life where it's like, okay, it's just enough of pleasing everybody and hiding who I am, and and again, I think that's part of the spiritual calling too. I mean, I'm not belittling that, but it did take me an awfully long time for me to shake those shackles off about what other people might think about me, and what pleases somebody else, and trying to achieve that as opposed to actually what pleases me, what makes me happy. And that's why for me as well, it's allowing yourself to be authentically you. And if you're having a bad day, you're having a bad day. And if you're having a great day, you're having a great day. And it doesn't matter what's going on around you. It's allowing yourself to be in that space energetically, because that's you being in your truth. It's when we're trying to navigate the waters around us and kind of in whatever way changing that which we are to kind of fit, that we're distorting that field that we're radiating out into the universe. And that's when we're giving the mixed message to the universe, because the universe is always waiting to give you what you want. We tend to put ripples in the water that kind of muddy what we're asking for quite often. Has anybody got any questions or anything in the audience? I know we've got a number of people in the audience now, and I just wondered if anybody, having listened to this conversation, has any comments or any questions that they want to put to Jeanne. This is your opportunity just to ask anything at all about this, how to manifest your best soulmate, but really, how to be your true and authentic self, really. That's what it's all about, really, isn't
your
it?
Most magical self. Exactly. As we're waiting for a question, I was just really resonating with what you were saying. I was an extremely late bloomer. It wasn't only when I wrote my book and I started getting national attention in Europe, I had always been really, really horribly afraid of public speaking. And people have a hard time believing that now, but it was really, really bad. And I had some visibility fears, but I prayed about it, and I got some really good signs that I was really meant to do this. And once I really leaned into it and realized that by showing up, if I didn't allow myself to be visible, if I didn't allow myself to shine, then the people that really needed me couldn't find me. And I had that helped me, but I did not roll out of my mom's womb. Hello, it took me decades.
No, absolutely. Me too. I mean, just when I first started this summit, and this was divinely inspired, I woke up Monday into magical, playing through my head. I didn't know what it was, and I had to agree to do it to be able to go back to sleep. And it took me 2 months to work out what it actually was that the spirit was asking me to do. I hated having my photo taken. I just couldn't even grasp the concept of being on and interviewing people. Why would any speaker want to come on and chat with me? All of that was playing through. And that's basically how my whole life was, living in that kind of space of lack in terms of how I perceived myself and what I thought about myself. And so just in the act of doing something that I was spiritually guided to do, and kind of, I made the commitment, and something with me is if I make a commitment, then I do follow it through, has enabled me to go so much further on my own personal journey of self-love and self-appreciation and allowing myself to be my authentic self. And I'm not saying it was easy, but again, I started by doing 2-minute live videos and just videotaping myself, you know, and it didn't matter if my hair was a mess, you know, I had makeup on, no makeup on. None of that mattered. And it took me 30 days of doing that every single day for me to kind of just let go of the whole inhibition of putting myself out there and worrying about what I actually looked like. It was then about what the message spirit wanted to give. So the thing is, just let yourself do it, you know, feel the fear and do it anyway in some ways. And Jeanne said, is there going to be a replay? There is. I get the audio replay and the video replay out as soon as I can after the live call, but this one has actually been live streamed, so it will automatically be available on YouTube straight after. Maria's put, how can I overcome my fear of a relationship, having lived really very bad ones and having been alone with no date at all for 20 years? I live an authentic life with myself and I don't care what others think of me.
Well, that is a good start. That is a beautiful start. In many ways, you're ahead of the game with that. My suspicion is that there may be some, because of what happened to you, there may be some beliefs about maybe you don't 100% believe you can have what you want, a healthy relationship. There may be some more focus on what it is you want, really clarifying what you want. Sometimes the universe gets mixed messages from us. So I would put a lot more attention on really drilling down the specifics of what you are trying to manifest. And then instead of worrying about how you find it, spend that energy and that time every night or every morning before you get out of bed. Just spend it just at least 2 minutes, just really imagining what it would feel like as if it was already in your life, and lean into that deliciousness and just allow yourself to feel that joy and happiness and partnership. Keep doing that. That's the kind of thing that could be another thing that is in the way, is if you're not doing enough of that, you're just focusing on the lack of what you want. Sometimes it's as simple as that. Sometimes with some clients that I've had, they are still thinking that there's something left that I need to fix in order for me to attract. There's all sorts of ways that we have these limiting beliefs. So I would really take a look at what your limiting beliefs might be that are in the way, that are giving the universe a mixed message.
Actually, that reminds me, that was something that Spirit was nudging me to mention a little while ago, and I forgot. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to wait to be perfect.
You don't have to heal everything. You just have to be on the path.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Somebody said to me once, 70% is good enough. I mean, I'm a perfectionist, you know. A few years ago, I would have said I was a control freak, and then I became a control enthusiast, and now it's like, yeah, there's nothing. Control is an illusion.
I love that, a control enthusiast. That is amazing.
So somebody said, you know, 70% is fine, because for me, I would never put a post out there, or I would never do it. I wouldn't put anything out there unless it was absolutely perfect, because it's never going to be perfect, because you can always raise your bar of perfectionism.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
That's the people pleaser in the empaths, that we have to retrain ourselves, that we don't have to be perfect. It's the imperfections that are beautiful. Like in I think, what do they call it? Wabi sabi, where the Japanese art of revering the imperfections.
Yeah, I'm imperfectly perfect, or perfectly imperfect.
I like what I'm seeing, sister.
Yeah, so don't worry, that the replay will be available, but yeah, we're coming up to an hour. I think it's a good time actually to go through your free gift, because your free gift is actually something to help people to discover what their biggest block is.
Exactly. So I developed a quiz. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes to take. And I encourage everyone listening to take it. Even if you're in a relationship, it helps you to show up. It helps you find the last bits of resistance that are preventing you from fully showing up as your best self. It gives you an indication of what your biggest block to fully receiving love is. And I purposely, put put options in there. Like if none of the options fit you, you can choose none of the above. But I really encourage you to be honest with yourself. Sometimes I wrote the questions with just a little humor, just to make it a little lighter, but just take it with the spirit with which the question is asked and trust your first response, and don't answer how you think you should, but just be honest. And I get a lot of really wonderful feedback that people are like, I think it's right. I don't like it, but I think it's right. And the good news is I give tips on how to start shifting it. And then if somebody feels like in their body intuitively, they feel called to reach out to me, there's an invitation at the end of the quiz, no pressure. You can book a free, no pressure consult with me, and we can talk about what your specific, block is and how to start shifting it if you want. But if you just take the quiz alone, it already offers you some tips to get started on your own as well.
Mm. And that's great. And I think the key thing is being absolutely honest. It's that radical honesty that enables the biggest transformational shifts.
Right.
It doesn't matter whether you're doing this to find your soulmate or you're just doing this to live a more purposeful and authentic life and enjoy. Because ultimately that's what it's about. Whether that joy is through sharing your life with another or just by doing what you love. Ultimately, when you're doing what you love, well, for me, it doesn't matter if I'm doing it with other people.
I was just looking at Maria's comment. I love your throne. Thank you. You need one too.
I know, it's great.
Go
It's
get yourself one. My husband has one, a matching one. So I say go for it.
Absolutely. I love the sparkly lights at the back. That's what I need.
Thank
I need a
you.
wall of sparkly lights.
Yeah, that's why I was so happy you reached out to me, because one of my values is magic. And that's what I put there to kind of give that magical vibe, because I want people to believe in that again.
Absolutely. And this whole summit is about it's mundane to magical, and it's the acknowledgement that life, we're often trained as children. We're completely open to the magic. I want to be Superman when I grow up. I want to be this, I want to be that. And it's just wonderful. And we're in our imaginations and we can create whatever we want in our childhood. And then we go through that kind of getting on the treadmill, and we're kind of trained into the mundane aspects of life. And then we kind of get caught in that drudgery, and we see life as that hamster wheel that just keeps going round and round and round the same route. And we forget the magic. We forget the magic. We forget the magic of ourselves. We forget the magic of life itself. And for me, this whole thing and my work is about acknowledging the magic is always there, always has been there. We've had the dial on the color scale turned down to grayscale, and it's time to whack it back up. Bring sparkle back into your life.
Exactly.
Allow yourself to connect with the magic and beginning. And the first thing is connect with the magic that is you. Connect with your unique magical fabulousness, because you are, and you have something that nobody else has. That's your unique divine frequency. And when you can tap into that, then you can let others see it. Do you think that when we are sexually attracted to a man, that this is no base for a lasting relationship?
Oh, okay. I think you might be talking about, I talk a lot about pursuing the right chemistry. So my answer to that is, I'm not saying that you should go date someone that you feel absolutely no chemistry, physical chemistry with at all. What I'm saying is to be honest with yourself with which instinct, whether your instinct or intuition is in charge. And what I mean by that is, if what you're looking for when you are out and about dating, if you're looking for that Hollywood spark, that exciting feeling, be honest with yourself that that is really hormones, instinct, physical attraction, cavewoman brain that's saying this person would make good babies with, and it's not necessarily, even if you don't want a baby, it's just biology. When that's in charge, I just want to say, if that's what's leading your choices, if that's the case, that's the energy that doesn't tend to lead to partnership. And unfortunately, research shows that when that's the predominant instinct in charge, that energy dissipates after about 18 months. So it's always better in the long run, instead, to seek the person that you feel like your body wants to be close to, but at the same time, the predominant priority is feeling accepted, feeling a sense of kinship, friendship, spiritual connection. And a lot of times people think what that means is I'm telling them to settle. And it's not. I just want to invite you to think about the difference when you've been wildly attracted to somebody in the past. It's great. I've been through periods where I broke up with someone and I needed to get my groove back, and it was never going to be somebody who was going to be my partner. But I needed that wild animal attraction, and it was great and fun and fabulous. But when I wanted a soulmate, I had to look for a different energy, a different type of chemistry. And think about the difference in the quality of making love when you're with somebody that you're predominantly physically attracted to, but maybe not so much with the other. You don't really have the rest going on. You're probably going to be sucking your stomach in, playing with your hair. It's going to make you, it's not going to play to your best instincts. It's going to make you feel sometimes like insecure, like you may feel like you have to turn the lights off when you have sex because you don't feel like this person, you're afraid this person is going to leave. It's like anxious. The butterflies is anxiety. When you feel like you can be with somebody that you do have that, your body does want to lean in with this person, but it's not a wild, exciting feeling. It just feels calm and it feels accepting. Can you imagine the quality of making love when you don't have to worry about all that stuff and you just let go? It's just an amazing experience. And I want everybody to realize that is a better pathway to that. Does that make sense? Do you think I answered the question?
Yeah, I do. Maria, what do you think? Does that answer your question? Absolutely. Yes.
Yay.
I mean, I think again, from my experience, and part of my experience growing up was hating the fact that I was seen as a sexual object, and that people weren't interested in me. They didn't see me. They saw my blonde hair, or they saw my body, my boobs, my hips, whatever. They weren't looking at me. And so what I wanted and what I craved was somebody that I could be completely, that I was completely accepted by, and that loved me for me. And therefore I felt free enough to fully express myself, without all of the hang-ups of the kind of the sexual desirability, because we well, I certainly don't. Every day I do not look like a supermodel. It's like, but you want to have somebody, I want to have somebody who, even if I'm just in my pajamas and I'm at the sink and I'm doing the washing up and it's not been a great day, that wants to come have a hug and a cuddle and just, you know, expresses that love for me. Yes, a healthy sexual relationship, a happy, loving sexual relationship is a really important part.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally get what you mean.
And it's sad because we're taught that if that excitement isn't there, that we're settling, but it's actually more likely. I'm not saying go hang out with somebody you have zero chemistry with at all. I'm just saying, pay attention to the other things more. And that it can absolutely lead to something really delicious.
And I think as well, because a lot of this conversation is in a way directed at people who are empaths. And people who are empaths often see the beauty in others that they don't see in themselves. So I know for me that has always been, again, I used to say, I see everybody's potential. It may not be how they're expressing themselves, but I see the inner light. I see that absolute beautiful aspect that everybody is. Again, I got tangled up because I thought it was my role to bring that to the surface, but that's everybody's individual journey. But as an empath, you see the beauty in everybody. You can be attracted. I remember my partner that I broke up with most recently. His big thing was that he was 20 years older than me, and that he was worried that one day I was going to wake up and think, oh my goodness, he's an old man. And it's like, no, I saw your salt and pepper hair. I saw all of that, but it didn't detract from who I knew you were to be, who I knew you were. I saw your inner light, and I thought that was the sexiest thing on the planet. It was just unbelievable. So again, sexual attraction for me is as well a vibrational thing as much as it is a physical thing. And I don't know if that makes sense to people, but that's because I am an empath. And if you are empaths, then maybe you understand that too. We don't necessarily need the Coca-Cola ad man. The person that really does something for us, that really sparks our interest, to themselves may have many flaws, but we see the beauty. We see that spark in people. So yeah, that was my take on it.
I love it. See the spark and the beauty in yourself, and you're on the right path.
Absolutely. And I think that's basically what this whole conversation has been about, recognizing, seeing, appreciating your own spark and deliciousness, flying your freak flag. I love that. I absolutely love that. And and then if you can do that, if you can see that and you can love it, so much easier then for the universe to bring forward that perfect person for you.
Yeah, I see it with clients all the time. When they started with thinking, I had a client who was a gay gentleman, very successful in business, but he said, oh, I'm in my 50s and I'm overweight and the gay community is so superficial. And he was just talking himself out of what was possible for him. And then he started to, and also he was trying too hard. He was definitely an empath. When he let all that go and he started remembering, because he was just, if he were here right now, you would just love him. He's just one of those people. He's just such a beautiful, bright energy. But he was dimming it all the time. But when he finally kind of remembered who he is, and he just started living that deliciousness of life, he found somebody in 3 months, and it was a person half his age. It reminded me when you were talking about the salt and pepper hair. He hadn't thought that somebody that age would really see what was beautiful about him. And I've seen them together. They've been together 2 years now. And the way that younger person looks at him just takes my breath away. He doesn't care that he's a little bit fluffy, and he doesn't care that he's 60. He doesn't care. He just sees how beautiful he is. And that's what I want everybody to experience.
Absolutely. So I'm aware of time. We've had a fantastic conversation. I've loved it. I hope everybody else has.
Yeah, me too. We had fun.
Absolutely. Well, that's what it's about, though. That's what it's about. So yeah, Maria's saying great talk, great help. Regina's saying I loved this. I'm so glad.
You.
I mean, I always trust the universe is bringing the perfect conversation to each show, but it is such a joy to bring in new speakers and new flavors of magic. I do love that. That's one of the things.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you having me on the show.
It's been an absolute joy, an absolute ball. I've loved it. Thank you so much for joining us, Jeanne. Is there anything that you want to end on to kind of give that parting gift to the audience?
Just allow yourself to receive the love you deserve. Allow yourself to give up trying so hard and allow yourself to ask the universe for more. You absolutely deserve it. You absolutely can have it.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. Excellent. Thank you so much, everybody. So much love to you. My heart is massively opened. I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope you all have too, whether you've caught it on the replay or whether you've managed to catch it live. Tomorrow we have our last speaker, and then I will be doing the closing conversation on Sunday. But tomorrow we have another live call with the wonderful Jade de Cruz, who will be talking about black magic and how to strengthen your own field and to allow yourself to connect with your own power so that you are not vulnerable to the manipulation of outside forces, external energies, other people's energy. So that's one not to be missed as well. I'm really excited for that conversation, another new speaker. So have a wonderful rest of your day in whatever time zone you are, wherever you've caught this. And from my heart to yours, so much love, everybody. Take care.